Hey guys, it's Chris from Steeda, and today we're going to talk about our top 5 Mustang engines. There's a ton of different engines out there from 64.5 all the way to present, so we're going to focus on late model Mustangs today, and let's go ahead and dive in. Kicking things off is the Pushrod 5-liter. This was offered in the Fox Body Mustang and early SN95 Mustangs. Obviously, there's all kinds of different iterations of the Pushrod 5.0, but it's that iconic Pushrod 5-liter engine that we know and love. Especially when you pair that Pushrod 5.0 with some Flowmaster exhaust, has that iconic, deep, throaty rumble that we all know and love. And I mean, you really can't go wrong with the Pushrod 5.0. It was a very stout motor back in the day, still used quite often nowadays. Of course, you need to add, some power adders, a 4-jack supercharger or something along those lines to keep up with some of the current Coyote motors. Hint, hint, we'll talk about that later. But all in all, the Pushrod 5.0 in the Fox Body and early SN95 cars was iconic for the Mustang at its time, especially when the Mustang was potentially going away in the early 90s. That Pushrod 5.0 helped keep the Mustang in the game in the early 90s and ultimately led to one of our honorable mentions, but we'll mention that later. Fast forward to 2003 and 2004. There's a reason why they call the SVT Cobras from 03 and 04 the Terminator, and that's ultimately what's under the hood. The 4.6-liter 4-valve supercharged motor, it made 385 horsepower, which was a ton for that time, and I should mention that it was underrated. And I mean, you can't go wrong with the Terminators. They're still loved by so many, including myself today. And on top of that, I mean, there's a reason why the Camaro went by the wayside around that time, and that's because the Terminator came out and those things were conquering the streets. You see them around all the time today. Everyone turns ahead when you see a Terminator go by, especially when you pop the hood. And sometimes you see them pulley down, sometimes you see a Whipple under the hood. No doubt that that motor helped bring the Mustang to the complete forefront to finish off the New Edge and SN95 body style and ultimately kick off the S197 in 05. Number 3, kind of a controversial engine, the 2.3-liter Ecoboost that was first offered in 2015 with the S550 Mustang. Now, 4-cylinder is kind of a stranger to Mustang before the S550, with the exception of the SVO and naturally aspirated 4-cylinders that we saw in the early Fox bodies and into the 80s as well. The SVO was a stout motor for its time in the Fox body. A lot of people modded those cars up to be faster than the GTs and 5 liters of its time. And ultimately bringing back the Ecoboost for 2015, or calling it the Ecoboost rather, but a 4-cylinder turbocharged motor was definitely a gutsy call by Ford, but man did it pay off, and I mean, it speaks for itself. The Ecoboost came, I believe, off the top of my head, I want to say it was 315 horsepower right off the bat in 2015. It's been higher since then, since they've made improvements throughout the course of the S550. But when you take that Ecoboost motor stock for stock against a 3-valve, the 2005, 2010 GTs, it's a pretty close call, even with the fact that the S550 weighs just a little bit heavier than those S197s. All in all, the Ecoboost is an extremely stout motor. It takes well to mods. You add an intercooler, a downpipe, a proper tune, bump the boost up a little bit, and you'll be running with, our Q350 Ecoboost test car that Jamie frequently drives in the autocross track. That thing beats up on Camaro SS1 LEs, Corvette C7 Grand Sports, even a couple Z06s, GT350s. It's insane what that Q350 Ecoboost is capable of with the right parts, the right tune, and everything else. I mean, I can't say it enough, the Ecoboost is incredibly impressive right out of the box. You add the right parts to it, and it's gonna beat up on some V8s. Number 2, you guys probably kind of assumed this would be on the list, and it's pretty obvious why, the Predator. It's a 5.2-liter supercharged engine offered in the new GT500 and soon to be Raptor as well. But I mean, you're talking about 760 supercharged horsepower. It's an incredibly stout motor, really impressive, and you tie that in with the dual clutch transmission that comes on the GT500 and it's a complete monster. We've taken this car out on track. We know what it's capable of, and if you haven't for yourself, go ahead and do that. Find a friend that has one and hop behind the wheel, because these things are incredibly impressive right out of the box. There's plenty of them out there already running in the 9s, and I believe even the 8s. Yeah, I want to say even the 8s in the quarter mile, taking these brand new GT500s, modding them out the you-know-what, and taking them down the drag strip and really showing what they're capable of. They're incredibly impressive. Ford and the Ford Performance team did an awesome job putting that engine together and wrapping the car around that Predator engine to begin with. To wrap things up, the Predator obviously got its name for a really good reason, and this is the engine on the list that's been out for the least amount of time. So we're really excited to see, as time continues to go on, what this engine is really truly capable of as you continue adding power to it. Number one, you guys probably could have guessed it, we're a big fan of the Coyote motor. Offered first in 2011 with 412 horsepower right off the bat, a big jump from that 315 that was offered with the 4.63 valve in 2010. The Coyote motor has completely changed the game. And you're looking at Camaro and Challenger, they've had to up their game because Ford came out with this Coyote motor with all kinds of tech behind it, twin independent variable cam timing, and now you've got dual injected with the Gen 3. There's all kinds of technology that's wrapped into the Coyote motor, and now that we're up to Gen 3, these things are absolutely insane out of the box. They're incredibly receptive to mods. Just a cold air intake, some exhaust, a proper tune, and E85 on the newer Gen Coyotes, and man, do they scream. All the way to 8,000 RPM. Silver Bullet even does past that. Again, they're absolutely awesome, receptive to mods. If you're looking for the perfect Mustang engine to start with for your next Mustang, the Coyote is a perfect power plant to begin with. Moving on to our honorable mentions. These are in no particular order, but definitely engines that should be mentioned when we're talking about our top Mustang engines. First one off the bat would have to be the Trinity Motor in the 2013 and 14 GT500. These things came right off the dealership floor with 662 horsepower. If you ask me, that is a lot of horsepower for 2013. I mean, that's before the Hellcat days. That car actually hit 200 miles an hour and was advertised as such. It was incredibly impressive for its time, and the SVT team did an awesome job putting that car together, especially around that engine, and ultimately to come out with the Predator engine down the road, it had to be a worthy successor for that Trinity 5.8 liter supercharged motor in the 13 to 14 GT500. Another honorable mention, we couldn't leave it out of here, the Voodoo motor that's found in the GT350s from 2015 all the way up to 2020. It's a 5.2 liter, and here's the key, flat plane crank. This motor spins up to 8,250 RPM, has 526 naturally aspirated horsepower. It's incredibly impressive from a naturally aspirated motor to see those kinds of horsepower numbers, especially when it came out in 2015. Now, we all know about some of the oil consumption issues of these motors. We all know that some of them have some issues with warranty and things like that, which is why it didn't make our top list. However, it's an honorable mention because it's insane on track, it's insane drivability, and not to mention that iconic 5.2 liter flat plane crank Voodoo sound. Last but certainly not least on the honorable mention list would be the 4.6 liter 2 valve that kicked off in SN95 for 1996. Now, the reason why this made the list, it's not necessarily the most powerful motor or super iconic in terms of a lot of the power numbers that we've been talking about in this particular video, but the 4.6 liter 2 valve, specifically in 96, that was a huge jump for the Mustang and for Ford overall. That's when mod motors started. That's when we went from the old school pushrod motor to a modular design. We went from pushrods, 1 camshaft, to 2 camshafts, 1 on each head, and ultimately 4 camshafts, 2 in each head, talking about the Mach 1, the Cobras, and the Terminator we mentioned earlier. And even today, I should say, the Coyote, again, 2 valves in each head with independent variable cam timing all up top. That's why those motors are super wide. But all in all, it all started with the mod motor back in 1996. And that's super, super important because we wouldn't be where we are today with all the technology that that Coyote has if it wasn't for Ford making that jump to the mod motor in 1996. Well, that about wraps things up for our top 5 engines and honorable mentions for the Ford Mustang. If you have any thoughts, please leave them below. We would love to hear what your top 5 engine is if we didn't mention it, or a +1 for one of the engines we did mention. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you get a notification on your phone next time a Steeda video drops, and don't forget the most important thing, speed matters.